All right. Good morning, Dan. Looks like you're at least shaved up a little bit or clean cut a little bit more. You don't look like quite the mountain man you did there for a while.
I trimmed up for you last night, Brian. I had to get a little crazy.
Yeah, nice work. Well, yeah, we'll jump in today's podcast, but it's always a good conversation. Yeah, we went deep on today's podcast. We kind of talked about the enjoyment of bow hunting and the journey of it, but we also talked about finding new locations, exploring new spots, how hunting spots are changing, not get caught in a rut. There's a lot of good stuff in today's conversation.
Yeah, I keep finding guys in my spots, Brian. I can't figure it out. But we talked a little bit in depth about it and about public land hunting and some of the frustrations as well. And this is another one of those podcasts that we didn't have a path for it. We didn't have a track for it. We just started talking. And yeah, I think some good stuff came out. And that's the beauty of Life of a Bowhunter. And I think having conversations with Brian Barney is you just never know where it's going to go, but it's always impactful. And that's why I think for me, this podcast is so fulfilling as well, is there's always good stuff that comes out that we talk about and the passion. And so, yeah, another exciting one.
Yeah, well, it's a bit self-serving, as I think also having conversations with you in depth gets me thinking about things, and I think it makes me a better bow hunter as well, as it gets me focused on what I should be working on, what I should be thinking about. So, yeah, I'm getting as many benefits as our audience is getting, which is one of the great things.
Yeah, no, and I think we all are, and I think that's why I love these conversations so much. Is it's not just fluff. I mean, we're talking about important stuff, I feel like, and how, and a big part of today's podcast too was, how in our everyday life, what are little things that we can change that, or traits that we can really, grasp and really caress, our personal traits that will help us in the bow hunting walk of life as well. So, yeah, just great stuff today.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit more like a golden retriever, so it'll make more sense after you listen to the
That's
podcast.
right.
But yeah, well, yeah, we'll get right into it. I just want to thank a couple sponsors for today's show. So I want to thank G5 Arrows. Been using those Mark arrows. Just worked great for me this year. Like great components, great straightness tolerance, weight tolerance. Just been a rock solid arrow. That's been a huge key to my success. Is like I love building up a quality arrow that I can trust in for Western hunting. So you used them as well this season, huh, Dan?
Yep. Your arrow is only as good as your components, meaning your insert and your nocks. And when you have that, that small diameter arrow and that good insert, oversert, that toughness up front, it's so important on Western big game, especially big boned animals like elk or moose. Just, impacting bone is such a, make or break situation on success. And so, yeah, not only, straightness factor and great carbon, but just components that are so spot on and effective that really make it the ultimate all around Western hunting arrow.
Yep. A good spin on the broadheads is so important. Consistent knocking point that knocks the same with the same grip every single time. Like those little things make a difference in forgiveness and in accuracy. And archery is a game of inches. And, having a quality arrow puts you on the right side of that equation. So, yeah, awesome job by G5 and those arrows that they built up. We've really enjoyed them. And so, yeah, go check them out at their website. And we also want to thank Everly Stock Pack. So I've been using that new free fall that you recommended. I really like it for a day pack. Yeah, it's working good.
Yeah. Nice day pack, has a frame in it. I'm using that, and I'm still, the standby F1 mainframe for pack and meat. We just packed out a buddy's bull 2 days ago, and yeah, it's so easy, so quick. Threw on a hind quarter with those two lower horizontal straps, and then the head and the cape up top, and that mainframe does really well with a head and a cape and some meat on there. Just how it's balanced, and it's a workhorse, it's a meat hauler. And so, yeah, those mainframes and the new free fall. Check out Everly Stock. We've been using their stuff for a lot of years. I mean, how many years has it been? At least a decade.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, at least. Yeah, they just durable packs, and they have different packs to fit your preferences. And so I need to use that mainframe more as a meat hauler, like you're doing, Dan. I don't use it a whole lot, as I've kind of gravitated towards like the Kite 4800, or I use the Destroyer pack quite a bit, as I like the design of those, the way they pack that weight. But I think I got to get that mainframe, or at least have that in my truck for a meat hauler for some of these elk, because that does pack loads really well. So yeah, a bunch of different packs there, and a good mid-range price point for those packs as well, to get into a good pack where you don't got to spend $1,000 for a pack nowadays. You can get into a pack that'll do the job for a mid-range price.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it is. Blue collar worker pack. That's what I say about Everly stock, is that it's a pack that, you get the best bang for your buck, the most bang for your buck, with something that's completely functional but isn't going to break the bank. And it's hard these days, with gear and equipment and, inflation. I mean, prices up so much. And so, that's what I appreciate about the most about Everly stock.
Yeah, 100%. Well, over at Eastman's, I know we just got another magazine out. I had an article able to write the anchored in. So we've been switching off per episode, writing that anchored in. It's been pretty fun to write down our current thoughts and feelings. And so this one was pretty special to me, just finishing up bow season. So check out the magazines, the subscriber articles, the pro staff articles. We really pour our heart and soul into those things to try to give you guys the best tips to become better Western hunters. So check out the magazines.
Yeah. Not only that, but the Deer Collective, the Elk Collective, you can find those on our website at eastmans.com or theelkcollective.com. It's never too late to learn. Hop on there, use code ANCHOR, and you get a nice hefty discount. I ran that discount in May, I believe, but it's 75% off. So I think you're $25 into the course. So a lifetime of experience with multiple guys in these courses. So truly awesome resources for anybody when it comes to Western hunting. And then beyond the grid, we have some awesome episodes coming up. We took a bit of a break. We did our elk drops, and a lot of our episode drops are moose guys, big Shiras moose hunt here at the end of August. But we took a little bit of a break, and we're going to hop right into some deer releases, some whitetail mule deer. I know Brian has a good one coming up as well. So it is the season. The rut's coming up. So it's time to hunt deer, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to see some of these new releases. I got to go back and check out Guy's Moose Hunt too. I missed that episode. So yeah, I got to watch that. But yeah, I feel like our episodes are beyond the grid. Man, we've really like leveled up, like all of us, just producing such great content, the edits on them. Like, I'm really proud at how these episodes are coming out. And I feel like, I've definitely grown over the last 10 years of doing it. And I think it shows on film, and I think everybody else is growing and evolving as well. So I'm really proud at the episodes we've been able to put out, man. They're just, your elk episode was just off the hook this year. It's such a great episode. But yeah, I love it, man. I think we're really capturing the essence of like bow hunting.
Absolutely. And 2025 is going to be just as exciting. I think we have 5 archery elk hunts in the can for 2025, and just not typical hunts. I mean, these are incredible experiences and encounters and big bulls. I think this is probably, these 5 hunts between you, me, and Jordan are some of the biggest bulls that we've had collectively that are going to be on the beyond the grid. So, man, really excited. I don't know how we keep stepping it up, but it's getting better and better. I truly believe that, and our content's going to get better, and just chasing these top tier animals and getting it done. So I'm so excited for 2025. I really am.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be unreal. Like, I've definitely harvested some of my best animals to date on film, and I know you guys have put down some great critters as well. So yeah, I can't wait. And I captured an early season high country mule deer hunt, which is like my love. And I captured like 10 days in the most remote country and able to arrow like a great buck up there. And it was just, I mean, it took me to my limits physically and mentally, and it was a backpack hunt. So I just can't wait to see how that thing comes out as well. So yeah, I can't wait for 2025. You mentioned the the Mule Deer Collective, Elk Collective. Check those out. Further your learning curve by years just by paying $25 and going through the course. It'll make you a better elk hunter, better mule deer hunter. I think TagHub tag season will be coming up before we know it. Being a good bow hunter is a year-round pursuit, so it's time to get back to work and making sure that we're ready for next season and give ourselves a chance at success. So with that, man, I don't think we missed anything. Let's get into this podcast, Dan.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Cool. Well, you've been busy hunting this week?
Yeah. Taking buddy's rifle hunting.
Oh, there you go. Rifle season opened up, Wyoming, huh?
Yep.
Yeah,
October.
Good.
October 1st, one of my buddies from Maui, he's an old timer, and he took me hunting in Maui like in 2011. And I've hunted with him on and off ever since, but he finally drew Wyoming, never killed an elk. So it was fun.
Oh, cool. So yeah, you guys had a little success then, huh?
Yeah, he killed a bull. It was a little bit bittersweet. It wasn't typical. I feel like it was a little bit crazy for an opening day, but general public, horse country, horse people running up on herds of elk and flock shooting, and it was bad.
Oh, that's no fun.
It's 2024, right? And you still are like, man, there's so much information out there. If anybody didn't know how to hunt, they could do just a little bit of research, just a little bit of effort, and figure some of this stuff out. But it's still not the case. I mean, people just, maybe they just don't take it as seriously as we do, is probably what it is. Horse people.
Man, that's too bad. Yeah, there is some ugly stuff that goes on, and I think it's in all facets of hunting. There's good and bad examples, but I noticed during rifle season, make the joke of the Orange Army and things, but gosh, it seems like a bit crazy around here for general season rifle. It's just like, I'm sure there's an experience to go have, I'm sure you can go deep, you can go after opening day, you can go hunt bulls that are tucked away in these canyons and glass form and hunt hard, but it does seem like a lot of it, like I hate it when we get the big snows and they come out on the faces and these giant bulls that you just take all this work and effort to try to harvest a bull like that. Guys are getting them, are maybe getting a bit lucky. And then also just getting them on the flats in the Madison Valley is a pretty black eye on hunting. It's just vehicles parked on every road and they're running herds, and you got the game warden out writing tickets, and people are lobbing shells and just so hungry to kill an elk instead of so hungry to go have an experience hunting elk, and so yeah, I don't know how I feel. I didn't know the conversation was going to start this way, but yeah, it's there definitely is some stuff that goes on that I'm not too proud of as a hunter.
Yeah, it's a tough space, and I was talking to James about it, and hunting. How do you want to categorize hunting? Is it a sport? Some people say it's a sport. Some people, I say it's a lifestyle. It's my life. It's what I've basically shaped my life around, but it's not like that for everybody. It's not everybody's lifestyle, but it's a space that is highly, it can be controversial, but it's just like anything else, right? There's people that can ruin it for the rest of us. You hear that phrase being used in any facet of life, whether it's, maybe off-roading or hiking or just public use, or, a good example is hunter management areas and block management areas where, you got to treat these places like it's your own property, because before you know it, it's gone. And so, man, as hunters, we got to be so careful. And like you said, it's hard like that. People and game wardens talk about this in hunter safety and whatnot, but people, they see a bull elk or a buck deer and they just lose their minds and do stupid stuff. And maybe it's just the nature of what it is. It's an exciting lifestyle. It's an exciting endeavor. And Yeah, it's very interesting, but I think that's why, as we talk about, like in the bow hunting realm, just I guess mental control, self-control, like it plays such a huge part of becoming a better bow hunter and becoming proficient at bow hunting, but just in hunting in general, the self-control and the mental aspect of things, just so you don't do stupid stuff, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, and it seems like, I hunt high pressure areas and it doesn't seem like unfair chase on these animals, like as far as in the bow season. It's like these animals can cover so much country, they're so difficult to kill, and even in these high pressure they're not killing a bunch of elk, and it's like I can still get away from people and go find my own experience, and sure, maybe 1 out of 5 hunts, or 1 out of 10 hunts, there's a guy that comes up with a bad wind and spooks some elk, or like maybe there's too many guys in an area, and I see guys, I go the other direction. Like I try to, I want to go find my own experience. So if somebody's in front of me or working a ridge I want to get to, I'm not going to go in and try to combat hunt. And I've killed, man, I killed a 210-inch muley in a high pressure zone, and I have never been back. Like, I learned that unit and saw a bunch of big muleys. They have great genetics and giant deer, but I just decided it wasn't the experience for me. Like, every day I was seeing guys hiking on the ridge lines. It felt like combat hunting. The deer really tightened up their programs, where it's like, this isn't really the experience for me. Like, I'd rather go hunt other mature deer and go have my own experience somewhere. So, like, even with high pressure and a lot of people on the landscape going hard, like, I still feel like I'm able to accomplish fair chase and chase animals in their natural state of being. And like, I still feel like I get that. And I think, maybe some guys lose sight of that, or like you say, lose their minds during rifle season and see a bull. Like, I've never hunted an elk on the flats, but there's thousands of guys that do here in the valley. And to me, it seems, maybe it's just like harvesting and getting wild game, but the way they have them surrounded and cut them off, and it's in the flats, and guys sitting fence lines, lobbing shells. And of course, I'm stereotyping, like, I'm sure, there's some ethical guys that catch elk on a face somewhere and make it happen, and nothing wrong with that. But I just choose not to take part in that, or I don't want any part of any of that. But like you say, I think we all kind of take it to different levels, but I still feel like there's quality hunting out there, and even high pressure units, I feel like I get like a great experience in there. Like, I can go have my own hunt still.
Well, you bring up such a valid point, and regarding to what type of experience are you looking for? And just because a unit, say, has 150 tags and it's an October 1 opener, and it's basically all open country, so the elk can't really hide. I mean, they can, but you factor all these things in on any hunt, and it comes down to what type of experience are you looking for. And a lot of times you don't know what you don't know until you like start hunting an area. And this area I've hunted multiple times, so I know it really well. And it's all about trade-offs, right? So opening day, you have elk that haven't been shot at yet. They haven't been picked over yet, and they're still rutting October 1. I mean, talk about just an incredible experience for rutting elk, in the right conditions. But what you can't control is what individuals drew the tag this year. Where are they going to be hunting? How are they going to be hunting? Some years it's epic. It's a 10 out of 10. There's not guys hunting the spots that I hunt, and it's just as good as it gets. And then like this year, there's just guys in there, and the specific guys drew the tag and they hunt exactly where I was hunting, and they blew elk out, during archery. And I don't condemn them from that. That's hunting. That's just public land hunting, right? But there's definitely different times of the hunt. It's a 30-day hunt, the whole month of October, that we could get away from pressure 100%. We could hunt later. We could wait for snow. We could go at the end when most people are tagged out and not have to deal with the people. You might not have the inventory of bulls that you would at the beginning of the season. And then you have to factor in time, right? Like how much time do you truly have to hunt this tag or this hunt? And that's one thing I would say for guys to not overlook. But if you draw a tag, you burn 10, 12, 14, 16 points. And we've talked about this, Brian. You don't only allocate like 6-7 days of hunting. Like give yourself 2 weeks. Like give that tag the justice that it deserves and your points justice that they deserve. You spent big money on points, to draw this tag. So give yourself the time. And without a doubt, if we were to pull out and we came back, a week later or 2 weeks later at the end of the season, there would have been less people and we would have gotten a different experience. And so I think that's important too. We live by the sword, you die by the sword. You go opening day, it's a 50-50. It could be a 10 out of 10, or it could be a 4 out of 10 when it comes to pressure and people and the type of hunting tactics that the rest of the public are using. And so you got to chalk it up to the nature of hunting, the nature of public land hunting. And in the end, you hope that it all kind of evens out and you do enough hunts and you have good ones and you have bad ones. And it just seems like the nature of the beast.
Yeah, well, and we're getting into like different subject matter, just like hunting pressure as well. And, that's a given. It's like in today's day and age, there's a lot of guys going hard and a lot of guys that want to kill elk and kill deer. And so you're right, like things change. Like you can have one year that's epic in a drainage and nobody's in there. And then the very next year, maybe some people find out about it or different people draw the tag and all of a sudden there's pressure in there. And so what do? You don't want to hunt around a bunch of people. And so, you're kind of forced to like be able to adapt and like find different areas. And I know, if I'm hunting like a real high pressure area, like, even in my backyard in some of these mountain ranges, it's like some of these wilderness spots I'd go to, some years I have them all to myself and I get this amazing experience and there's a bunch of elk in there and I chase them around. And then, the very next year, maybe there's horse guys or there's, backpackers in there, or maybe I'm hunting roaded country. And like, I've had this drainage that's been red hot and I've killed bulls in there and it's really good in there, but it's almost like the word starts to get out. And then the next year there's like, 10 vehicles up this road and every elk that gets in there gets spooked out of there. And so I'm like forced where I just have to adapt to go find different country and where these elk are. And year to year, elk do frequent the same spots and locations and drainages can be good, but it does also differ from year to year and the pressure can change that. And so this drainage that was so good to me, and like I ran into it this year with buddies is, I hunted this drainage 2 years ago with my buddies and, we pretty much had it all to ourselves. Maybe a guy would drop in every once in a while, but it's this giant canyon where, you could fit 10 people and not see somebody in it. So it wasn't a big deal. And we were into elk. And then, it's like, then the next year, everything kind of changes and there's more guys in there and any elk that get in there get busted. This year, there's more pressure in there. And so my buddies went into this drainage and they just remember it from 2 years ago of being this insanely good hunting with not many people. And now everything's changed. And they actually like got stuck in a rut because they kept believing it was so good, checking every little hidey hole in this place. And the elk just weren't in there. And eventually it figured out and they found some elk, but they're like, man, I wasted 5 days in that drainage just believing it was going to be as good as it was, or, thinking that it was going to change or that elk were going to show up when really, I should have spent a day or two in there and realized the elk weren't there and made a move. And so, I think you have to be willing to adapt. And I think hunting public land, like a lot of times you go to make your hunt and somebody gets in there before you or somebody's hunting that location. And like you're forced to just like go the other way or go to another ridgeline. And that's, it is kind of part of it with the public land hustle. It's like an added element into hunting where you're not always going to have it by yourself. And you also don't want to be a jerk and like jump in front of guys or get in this combat mentality. It's almost like have a conversation with guys like, hey, where are you headed? Okay, you're headed there, I'm headed there. Or you see guys up on a ridgeline. It's like, well, they've got that drainage. I'm going to go over to this other one, just trying to find your own experience out there. So I think you have to be willing to adapt and not get so rigid in the places you're going to hunt as well.
That's huge. That's huge. And I experienced that this year here in Wyoming. And, that's part of it. And that's what I have to tell myself. I'm disappointed in a couple of my scenarios where, I pack in these long distances on horses. And like this year I went in there and there were guys coming out and they camp exactly where I camp and they hunted exactly where I like to hunt and they killed a nice bull in there. And it's just like, it's frustrating because, people talk and there's some guys that know where I'm hunting and, they talk and that's eventually what it is. And you can't blame them, but that's a very good point where, this is my honey hole, right? And I know there's big bulls in there, but I didn't focus in that area this year because I went into this area and it's really delicate. You get one chance in there, you start blowing elk out and it's over. They don't like come back in. It's this area that's kind of a staging area, pre-rut. And these bulls are living in there and they're, rubbing and bulking up and getting ready for the rut, the perfect, scenario for calling in a big bull. But once they get bumped out, it's not like a spot that they're going to come back because they're going to move anyway. They're headed to a rut ground anyway. And yeah, the hunting just wasn't what it was in there this year as it was in previous years. And it's unfortunate, but nothing good lasts forever. It seems like it's very hard to have a place that's consistent. And then you throw on top of it that, you make videos of where you're hunting and I try to be discreet and then people see those videos and they talk and before you know it, your place is run out of hunts. And so what it means to me is just, I've got to find a new spot. And that might be apply for a different tag next year. It might be relocating, an area and just starting over from scratch and just kind of keeping that spot in the back of my mind. But, I think that's a very valid point, not getting stuck on, just because I killed a 380 bull in there doesn't mean that that's the spot, that's the only spot where there's going to be a big bull. You're constantly, putting those tentacles out and moving areas and keeping your eyes open and using the long glass and changing drainages and just, expanding and trying to make something happen or trying to find a pocket of elk. And I think that's so important, that adaptation. And it's that much harder when you're in the backcountry and it's a big deal, to pack up camp, load your horses up, wade through the grizzly bears and move areas. Like it sounds like a daunting task, especially, dropping several thousand feet and then climbing back up or whatever the case may be. But it's definitely a different mindset and a different style, but that's how you have to think if you want to find success on a hunt like that. And, ultimately I came home with nothing and so be it. I mean, ultimately that's the way it goes. I spent a lot of time on my other tags and I didn't get to hunt as much as I wanted to, but that's fine. That's hunting and things always change. And, I have all winter to maybe rethink my tactic and think about it, maybe another area to hunt and how I'm going to proceed next year and move on and go find another big bull somewhere else. And that's all you can really do. But it's the ever evolving, the ever changing dynamic of public land hunting. It's such a challenge.
And it's so true. It like hurts my heart to hear you talk about it because you do. Like it reminds me like I was talking with my buddy Dylan and I'm like, I mean, the reason we kill bucks and bulls is because we have good spots that we found or that we hunt or that we're able to find animals, and like, this year where I killed that great bull was a brand new area to me, and it didn't have any hunters in there and it did have a bunch of elk and it was like one of those pockets. It's like magic, but it's like everything's always changing. And you're right. Like, guys find out about spots and, I have buddies that I've hunted with, or I have buddies that are hunting mountain ranges right now where, it's like they've hunted with me and I've hunted with them for a week, and I've like gone to all these different places and we find elk. Well, then they come out to hunt and now they just know all these different places that are like kind of my honey holes to go hunt. Not that I mind, I want them to be successful and go hunt there, but it's like two, it's just more pressure and more hunting in these zones. Or even I hunt with a lot of buddies, which is great, and I really enjoy it. And a lot of my really good buddies bring a lot to the table, as they're always researching new zones, finding new zones, and we're able to kind of learn together. But you also have guys that'll just hunt zones that you've hunted before, that get there before I do and hunt them out. And so yeah, I don't know how. It's like really tough to navigate because the landscape's always changing, and I've always been good at finding critters, but pretty soon these zones get hunted out and I'm forced to like go find new zones. And so I think it's like, it's definitely something I've thought about a bunch, because I killed that great bull this year and it might not be great in there next year. But it's, if you can find an area and you have it to yourself and you get in there and there's a bunch of elk, yeah, you're going to kill a bull out of there for a couple, 2-3 years in a row, because it's happening and you're getting encounters. And like finding those zones, I don't know. It's just very difficult, and it's very difficult to keep secrets in this world, or like keep good spots good. And I'm sure I have an effect on them as well. It's like being in there and pressuring them and hunting them. Things change, and then elk are hanging in different spots. And so I think you're right the way that you're thinking about it, Dan, where it is like this continuation. Like hunting isn't just during season, it's all times a year, where you are really researching new zones and getting new ideas. And I've kind of got stuck in a rut with like my late season muley spot in Montana, where I've taken so many bucks, and it's a bunch of different areas in a unit that I've kind of learned that are really good to me. And I keep going back and harvesting bucks out of there. It keeps good. I can backpack into zones. There's other roaded country I can go, and I know it really well. But I'm almost stuck in a rut now, to where the last 10 years or whatever, like I've just hunted this zone and I haven't been exploring or expanding. And so this year it's like one of my goals to hunt new spots and new locations. And maybe I find bigger bucks in these new zones, or I find other epic hunting. But you're right in that we need to keep adapting and evolving, and like hunting spots and zones that are good, but always adding new spots and zones, always be scouting new spots, always in the summertime be hiking into zones, always be looking for these new locations and zones. Because I mean, even if you can keep the best secret and you don't film spots and you don't let anybody know where you're hunting, or you don't, even if nobody sees your truck, or like, even if it like everything changes. So it's like you can blame it on an effect or a cause or a this or a that. But the reality is like I've seen zones where just more guys find out about it, or different guys explore that zone, and now you got pressure in there. Now the elk get busted out, and now they don't come in there the second week of September. They're somewhere else, and you got to go figure out where they're at. So hunting spots, no matter what, I think are always changing, and with conditions, with hunting pressure. And so being a public land hunter, I think you have to be good at like adapting in zones that were good to me last year, that are money, that you think, oh, I'll just go back there and I'll hunt that this week, last week of September, first week of October. And you go back there, and this year the wolves are in there and there's no elk in there, or zones of pressure. So I think you just have to be fluid like water. You have to always be looking for new spots and new zones. You have to use the big glass from afar. Like, I think our greatest skill set is the ability to find new locations, to find good hunting spots. And I think that's why I'm consistently successful, is I'm like able to adapt, able to find new spots, able to go back to old spots that I've learned that I know I can count on, that are sometimes good or timing may change, but just always being fluid and looking for new units, new zones, new hunting spots. And even if I'm hunting existing hunting spots, I like want to explore it further. Maybe there's a drainage I haven't got to, or a ridge line I haven't been. And so I think that's like one of the largest keys with like public land hunting and consistent success, is that ability to adapt, at least for me.
Man, you're just so right. And we talk about resourcefulness, right? In the past, and and being fluid. And it's, man, I couldn't have said it any better. You're so spot on with that. And as humans, as you were illustrating your point there, I'm thinking about human nature. And humans, we get stuck in ruts. And if you think about everyday life, and we think about routine, and we're shaped and we're molded as children to, be in a routine. We get up every morning at this time, and we get ready for school, and we go to school at this time, and this class is at 8 o'clock, and this next class is at 9 o'clock. And that's just what life is, right? It's fine. It's just how life is. But then you enter the realm of hunting, and yes, routine can work sometimes, but you get most public land hunters, they have their spot that they go to, and they make camp every there, and they make camp there every year, and that's their camp, that's their elk camp, and that's their hunt, and that just is what it is. And talk to some guys back there where I was hunting. They don't draw the tag every year, but when they draw the tag, this is where they go in, and this is how they hunt, and this is the trail that they ride, and that's it. And there's no expansion in there. And I think that's the vast majority of hunters. But I think that's because we're programmed like that. And that's human nature, and that's just how life is. And so I think, and maybe I'm just, better at it, and I know you are too, but being spontaneous, having that personality trait, I think can help you be a better public land hunter, because you have the ability to pick everything up mentally and move spots or change things and be fluid, because I don't think that's a trait that human nature, it's something that's being taught. It's not. And that just happens to be one of the most powerful traits to have as a public land hunter, is being fluid. So it's very interesting to me, because it's such a mental aspect, but that I think is very overlooked. And so to me, what I would say is okay, think of things in everyday life that I can be a little bit more spontaneous, that I can be a little bit more fluid. Maybe, try more new things in everyday life. Get out of your rut a little bit. And I know like my brother, I'll throw him under the bus because he's my brother and I love him. And we've done a lot of hunting together, but he's a rut person. He gets stuck in a rut, and that's just the way it is. And, this is what I know, and I'm going to be in the rut, and, I like it. I don't like change. But we've had conversations about it. That's actually a detriment to hunting, because you're less dynamic. And so anyway, I could ramble on and on and on about it, but I think it's just a very important thing to consider this off season. If you're, excuse me, if you're an in the rut type of person, maybe you start, trying things to get out of that rut and to expand your horizons and to grow a little bit. And so anyway, I think that it's so important, and it applies so much to hunting and bow hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's tough, because that rut is so comforting. It's like, you're going to go see bucks and bulls in there, whatever, the honey hole is, and you remember it kind of like the first time you hunted it or the second time you hunted, or it's good in there. And there's some spots that I go where, yeah, I'm able to harvest multiple bucks, and they're in there and they like that zone. Maybe they rut in there, or maybe they stage in there, whatever the case. You kind of learn something, and then all of a sudden you capitalize on it. But yeah, I think it's important. Things are always changing. And example I have is I have this kid that works for me, Tristan, and then he's got a buddy he hunts with, Paul, that's an electrician. They're two young go-getters. They're great human beings, great hunters. And they're young. They're 22, 23. And Tristan just moved to Montana. He's finally a resident in Montana. But these guys look at things with fresh eyes, and they take the things that we're saying to heart. And so it's amazing, man. I've lived in this valley for 20 some years, and I kind of have my good spots, and I'll talk to Tristan, but I'm not going to give him a treasure map of where to go that I've spent 20 years learning. And so he kind of looks at everything with fresh eyes. Like he's just taking it in to heart, like how to scout and how to find zones and where he's finding elk. And these two guys went in this year. I mean, they both arrowed bulls with their bow. They're like, they're young kids, and they're like committed to the discipline of bow hunting. So they're really good with their bows. They're scouting places, and they're going, and these guys just kill it. They look with fresh eyes, and sometimes they're going to spots that I've never gone. And then sometimes they're finding my honey holes on their own. Like they killed a bull out of one of my honey holes this year that they just found on their own by glassing or by scouting or by this fresh eyes. And so these kids are absolutely killing it with elk, with mule deer, with bears. They both killed a couple bears this year, one in Idaho, one in Montana, which isn't easy to do. And they're just absolute go-getters, and they're looking at everything. They're not stuck in a rut because they don't have a rut. They don't know any different than to go find new spots. And then just last weekend, they checked out a new muley area and drove across the state and went and found this new zone. And yeah, sure enough, they turn up a bunch of good bucks, and they get stalks, and they've got this new spot because they don't have a rut to go back to. So it's just everything is new, and they're just exploring and using this knowledge. And it's like wonderful to see these two young go-getter kids that are just putting everything into bow hunting or everything into hunting, and they're finding success, and they're finding new spots just with that fresh eye and that fresh perspective, And so I think it's important to not get stuck in a rut, to keep exploring and to keep, out there and searching. And you're going to strike out. You're going to go into zones, and you're not going to see a deer. You're not going to see a buck. And you're like, what am I doing? I should be in my rut. Like I could probably turn up a buck there. But it's like eventually you go to enough of those spots, or you do your research in the right way, and eventually you find like this epic honey hole. And those epic honey holes are always the best. Like the first year or two you find them. And proof in this year, that new elk spot I found where I killed a giant 7-point bull in there, it was like a brand new spot that I've never been into, that I scouted, that I had a hunch about, and show up in there, and there's elk ripping around like they should be, So I think we all need to keep that in mind and keep exploring, and just don't get stuck in these ruts, and keep looking for new zones, because there is epic hunting out there.
There really is. There really is. And that's in Wyoming until these last couple of years. I was, new spot every year for 10 years. And I enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy, exploring, and I enjoy, new country and new elk and, new herds, new hunts, whatever the case may be. But, it might be the time this year to go back and revisit some of those spots of the past that, I only hit once, and they were epic, and I only hunted them once, and I moved on. But I think, that's a huge part of being dynamic, and the experience factor is, taking notes and whatnot, like we've discussed in the past too, but coming back to some of these old haunts, and also maybe checking out some new areas too, to expand your horizon a little bit. But it's just so important to really, in bow hunting, and to be dynamic and fluid. So good stuff. And, it's a part of hunting. I can't be mad at these guys for hunting right in my spot. I mean, it's public land. That's just the way it is. And I film my stuff, and that's one reason why I like to be very secretive with where I hunt, with the hopes of that it's good for a duration. It's good for a long time, but in public land hunting, it's just not the case. And, good on them. They beat me in there. I had another hunt I was doing, and they got me by a couple days, and killed a nice bull in there. And that's, good for them. And that's ultimately how it is. Like I said, there's no hard feelings or anything. It's disappointing or whatever, but I'll be looking next year for new spots perhaps, and jumping back on that horse, and fresh mind, fresh eyes, and hit it hard again. And I have no doubt that we'll find something good. So that's all you can do, is look forward. And the always next year remark when your favorite NFL team loses, in the playoffs, but that's what it is. It's always next year, and keeping that chin up and pressing forward. So.
Yeah, that's it. Always looking, always on the search. I think I'm definitely exploring new areas every single season and new zones. And I think it's a big piece to my hunting. And then, I think theorizing in the off season as well. I think, winners are made in the off season. It's like time to put in the work. And, I know like I'm back on the trails running like after, and I still got a couple hunts coming up. But I just realized that all the work in the previous off season has got me to this year, and the accomplishments I've made and the success that I've had. And next year it may not come as easy. So it's like I'm shooting my bow religiously. I'm running. I'm doing all the things, and then researching spots, and I'm really diving into the e-scouting of these last couple hunts that I have, and really making a good game plan. But really, I'm happiest when I'm preparing for these hunts, when I'm on these hunts, when I'm putting a bunch of time and effort into what I love and the planning aspect of it. And so, like really, even with a couple hunts left, it's like, man, I'm back on preparing for 2025 to hopefully find the same level of success that I had this year. And knowing, we're just working on all these things that we talk about, all these different skill sets, to be at my very best, because it doesn't come easy. So yeah, it just, it's like, it just makes me feel good to like start preparing now, like in the off season, and looking and theorizing, putting in the work, making sure physically and mentally. And it's always tougher when I get out there than I expect it to be. It's always a grind, or the animals aren't there. You do have to adapt, or you're always reliant upon these skill sets. And so really for me, it's just like, it's back to work and preparing for next season. And I definitely don't expect it to go as well as it went this season. Like I'm like, I think to myself, it's not going to be as easy as it was this year. Like I'm going to have to put in the work in this off season and get right back to it if I want to have any chance at success for next year. And it's kind of the thing that I love too, is that it is just so dang difficult, that it does take this dedication, and it does take this preparation, or this year-round pursuit of bow hunting to keep like your edge sharp, to make sure that you're going to come into next season and give yourself a chance at success. And it is what I love about it too.
Yeah, it's the chase, the planning and prep, and it's probably why it's something that we've stuck with for all these years, right? Because we enjoy every step of the way. And yeah, the anticipation is probably more of the hunt than the hunt itself. The anticipation and the prep and the gear and all this stuff, and that's why it's turned into a lifestyle. But it's a great one to have. I was just smiling when you're talking about, like, as good as it gets, and you had a great year. We both had good years, but it's like some years it's just like it comes so easy, and other years it's just like, man, I'm fighting everything. It's just like, what forces out there did I piss off to make this so difficult? And then you get years that are like, what did I do to deserve these easy hunts, or I found a bull close to the truck, or this bull handed himself to me, or whatever the case may be. But it's the supernatural of bow hunting that can't be explained, and that's why I love it.
Yeah, no, it's pure gold for me this year. There's some jokes going around. The Australian guys say I have a fairy in my pocket, or it's like everything I touch turns to gold. It's like I've been really fortunate and lucky this year, where it's like everything I do tends to work out. So yeah, it's a pretty magical season, and I think I've gone 7 for 7 this year so far, and I'm really excited about late season. And it doesn't take much time off where I start yearning for it again. It's like, I still got a couple left. I still got muleys late during the rut, and I'm so excited for these couple hunts. And I don't need to kill on these hunts, or, having like, I just want to go hard and embrace it and have fun, and like find critters. And so I'm super excited about these couple late season, but it doesn't take too long or too many days off where you start really looking forward to getting back out there on the mountain and challenging yourself. And it just comes and goes so quick, so I'm definitely going to try to soak in these last couple hunts and look for really good critters, like critters that I'm really happy with, and try to get some stalks and hopefully some shots, and may even notch a tag here or there. But yeah, I can't wait, man. It's like a few days off, and man, I am raring to go again.
Yep. No, it's, as you said, it goes so quick. And, I had a lot of days in September, not only on my hunts, but with friends and stuff. And, when a season starts, you're like, man, it's going to be a long season. You got, lots of places to go, and there's going to be a lot of logistics to, tackle. And, but it's like, wow, 6 weeks, it goes by so quick, and
Yep.
it's over and done so quick. And it's just amazing. A month is such a blip in time in the grand scheme of things. It's really nothing. Like a month is nothing. 2 months is nothing. But yeah, it's just one of those things. When it's in your blood, it just the urge, the desire to get back out there and explore and see new country, and our primal instinct to chase our prey and gather food for our family. It's strong, and that's the great part of it too, is the providing for your family aspect. So I know I get a great amount of satisfaction doing that. There's nothing better than bringing home meat to the family. And my little 3-year-old boy comes out and he's like, steak, look at the steak and the buck, and all his little words and stuff. So there's nothing better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I've been spreading the wealth, to my daughter who's going to college, and so meat's like so important to her, and she doesn't know anything but wild game, and so definitely getting her some. And then yeah, one of my workers like got him a fresh care package. One of my cameraman wanted some elk meat, got him some, and then yeah, my freezer's full. It feels good, and gosh, I have I think a high protein diet is so important too to performance and putting on muscle. And so, like, gosh dang it, I absolutely love it. I've got a few recipes, but I'm pretty much elk or deer every single night or every single day. It's like, gosh, I do fajitas on salad, or like slice it up and on salad and on rice and on noodles, or just steak by itself, or steak and peppers. And man, I really think I think it plays a huge role in my performance too, is like having this wild organic protein that I'm constantly putting into my system. And really, it fuels future pursuits, and so yeah, I absolutely love it. It's a good feeling. Freezer was getting pretty low, and so it's a good feeling to have that thing all filled up and ready to go through winter and through another year. And every year I kind of have these thoughts of like, gosh, boy, I'm getting kind of low. I hope I can fill the freezer again this year, and so it's always a nice feeling when that thing's full and ready to rip for winter.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, I mean, growing up, we hunted for meat a little bit, and like antelope hunting, we would shoot does or whatever and have meat. But like, I think of all these amazing byproducts of the hunt, and not only you're learning a tremendous amount about yourself and what you're made of, but all these amazing byproducts, and meat is one of them. And I don't consider myself a meat hunter per se. Like, I'm in it for other reasons as well. It's not like that's my only reason. I'm just a meat hunter, and there's a lot of folks that are out there like that, and that's great. That's fine. Meat hunters that's great. But it's amazing the byproducts of hunting and what it can do for you mentally and physically, like you're saying, with just the best quality meat in the world, and then being able to share like that. And that's, man, it just makes me sit here and think of how amazing the hunting realm is, and what it can really do for you as a whole. It's so much greater than just killing something, or the meat, or the experience. There's all these things that factor into being, making the lifestyle what it is. So yeah, there's so many cool things that hunting brings and provides, and sharing with friends. And I love it. I was sitting there here smiling as you're saying that. And you get some of these guys, like, one thing I love to do, like, I'm a bartering guy. Like, I love trading things. I love, somebody provides me a service, I provide them with a service, AKA wild game. For example, one of my buddies, he's become a great friend now. But I had some, a couple e-bikes, and I can't remember what happened. I think the dog hit the e-bike, and the e-bike tipped over and hit my wife's car and put a dent and like a scratch on her hood on her Subaru. And I was like, dadgummit, this stinks. And she's like, I want this fixed. I'm like, I don't blame you. I mean, it's your nice car or whatever. And so I bring the hood into Richard. I'm like, Richard, this is what happened. Can you paint this for me? I'll do the body work on it. It was just like a little dent. I'm like, I'll do the body work on it because I like car stuff. But will you paint this for me? He's like, yeah, no problem. So he got it all done and whipped out for me. And I went to go pick up the hood, and he didn't have an invoice for me. And I'm like, how much do I owe you, Richard? And he's like, Dan, you just keep bringing me meat and we'll be good. We're even, we're square. And I was like, all right. And so that's kind of a cool thing. Like, I love the trading aspect like that. And yeah, it's just so fun. And that's what it is. That's what life's all about. Like what he says, he told me, he's like, Dan, kind of my expertise is, body work and vehicles and cars and stuff. And your expertise is hunting, and we can benefit each other. And, in the end, there's no money exchange, but it's better for everyone that way, including our taxes. And, we get a laugh out of it and move on. But yeah, what a great, just that right there, a great friendship just because of hunting. And yeah, I wouldn't trade Richard for anything. He's a good guy and helps me a lot on my car stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's if it wasn't so difficult, challenging, if there weren't so many benefits from it, like you say, I would have found a different endeavor. I would have found something else to do. But there is just nothing in life that I've found like bow hunting for me. It's like, it's sure I enjoy trail running, or sure I enjoy this or enjoy that, but nothing holds a candle to the wind to what bow hunting gives me, spiritually, what it gives me as far as organic protein, what it gives me, like, it's like good for my soul, the challenging, the creative thinking, the problems. Like a lot of it has shaped me into the man I am, and shaped a lot of my character traits as far as discipline. And, I've just had this thing that I love so much that I'm willing to work so hard to give myself a chance at success. And it's been a beautiful thing. I can't imagine my life without it. And so, here I am middle-aged, and I'm able to keep myself in the fittest shape. I'm able to keep my razor edge. Like, there's so many other benefits that go along with it. And I think the beautiful thing is I love it more and more every season. Like, I'm just as excited now as I was 10 years ago, or even more excited, And so I just, when you find something, or like a passion for something that you truly love, it's just like embrace it and go headfirst into it. And I think that's what we've both done bow hunting. But man, I absolutely love it. It is like, it feels like what I'm meant to do for sure. And I just have such a love for it. And that's where, I want to work really hard at it, and also fight to protect it, and just get as many days in the field as I can doing what I love to do. But it is sure a beautiful place to put my passion. I just haven't found anything else quite like it.
No, it's so spot on. I was talking to Ike the other day, and I was like, what I've realized over the years is like how obsessive of a person I am. And I feel like that you have to be, if you want to get good at something like what you're describing with bow hunting. You got to be kind of that type of person, like a little bit obsessive. And that's a good thing, because you get hyper focused on things. And when you obsess is a strong word, I guess. I don't know.
It's perfect.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, it is what it is, right? I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to deny it, but channeling your energy into certain things to where it becomes an obsession. But, you have other things in life, like family life and home life, that, also are important and take time. And so finding that balance, you can still obsess over things, but finding the balance where, everybody's needs are met in your family, my 3-year-old boy, my wife, my 2 stepkids. And so that's been the biggest thing for me about having a child and growing up, right? Dan's not 24 anymore and single and just bow hunting and thinking about bow hunting 24/7, 365, and that's it. I'm thinking about bow hunting about 94% of the time now. No, but you know what I mean? I mean, you need to obsess over some things if you really want to take it to the next level, but also finding balance too. And so, yeah, I would say we're obsessive people, but I think that allows us to really hone our skills and to really, become proficient, very proficient at something.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's like obsessive is what's made us into the hunters that we are, the bow hunters that we are, for sure. And yeah, you're right. You do have to find balance. It's like you watch like the Jordan documentary, or you talk about obsessive to where it ruins all other portions of your life almost, at times. But I think we found the balance, and I'm able to make time for bow hunting each and every day. I'm able to shoot my bow. I'm able to run the trails, and I'm still able to be there for my family. I'm still able to provide and be solid at work. And really, it's made me better at life overall. And it's not that I'm I'm still as obsessed as ever with bow hunting, but yeah, I do find balance in my life and make sure that responsibilities and other things are done. And partly because that's so important to me, my family, and providing and things of that nature. And then partly it's like building this bow hunting lifestyle. It's like, well, I know if I work hard, stick some money away, I'll be able to take more time in September. Or, I know that, if my family's good and I've spent good quality time, like they're good with me leaving for a month at a time, or, being on all these hunts. Like they support my passion as much as I do, because I'm there for them and their passions and, things of that nature. So yeah, I'm able to find balance and still be obsessed. And I do realize that I have that as a personality trait. And that is why I'm able to become the bow hunter I am, is because I do think about it a lot and spend a lot of time and effort trying to be my very best at it.
Yeah, that's life, man. That's the dance of life, the walks of life. You just described it, and becoming, a balanced person. That took me a while. As a kid, it took me some time to grow up a little bit, I guess, and be a little bit more balanced and be a little bit more strategic at channeling my obsessiveness for certain things. And your employer can really benefit from that too, right? If you're obsessive about a project or the work that you're doing. I mean, I think if you challenge it right, channel it right, your options are endless. Your abilities are endless on what you want to do. You just have to decide that that's what you want to do. And so, yeah, if I would say too, be more obsessive about things. And I laugh about it too. There's all these different personality traits and personalities, like the lion, beaver, otter, golden retriever. I don't know if you've heard of the personality traits, but like a golden retriever is like roll with the flow and kind of just here and always happy, but isn't really too driven. But sometimes I need some of that. I need to be not so driven and not so competitive maybe, and be a little bit more roll with the flow. And like my stepkid, he's 15 and he's very roll with the flowy. He's just here, and he's going to have a good time, and he's not too driven on certain things. And so we can all learn from each other. I think that's ultimately what I'm getting at, is trying to be a little bit of everything. And if you can be obsessive but still be a little bit of everything and have that good balance in life, I think you're going to really be able to crush it at life, and be a good significant other and a good employee and a great hunter as well. So yeah, anyway, we could talk about that for a long time, I'm sure too, but I just love the journey of bow hunting and all it entails.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I kind of like that thought experiment you're going down with the personality traits. Yeah, it's like I could probably use a touch more golden retriever in me as well. Like, well, also just appreciating life and gratitude and, like being happy with where I'm at, so there's a bit of that as I mature as well, where I'm trying to implement these different, character traits that I think will help me in life. But yeah, man, it's a fun journey. Well, we went a little deep on today's podcast on different elements, but there was some good stuff in there about finding new locations and new spots. So yeah, I always appreciate you, Dan. Thanks for making time, jumping on this morning. And yeah, let's wrap this thing up and get ready for some of these late season hunts.
Sounds good. Yeah, more hunts coming up, and I can't wait for the next podcast already. There's going to be some good stuff to talk about, no doubt.
Yeah, 100%. All right, thanks, buddy.